welcome everybody to my game demo, talk. Why I talk to myself and how it made me a better developer. So those of you who don't know me, a little bit about me. I'm JD. I'm a senior software engineer for Drupal at Hero Devs. Member of the Drupal CWG conflict resolution team, been doing Drupal for a while. I was a paramedic for 10 years. Been doing some coding since the 80s, and do I have anything else? Oh yeah, I'm also on Twitch. JD Does Dev. So what is this about today? Well, we're talking about me talking to myself, and by that I mean talking to me, talking about myself, talking to nobody, and while live streaming. Yeah. So what do I mean by live streaming? Well, I don't mean watch me play this game and do loud reactions or me in a hot tub. You're all welcome for that. I mean doing development while I'm streaming, learning in public, trying new things. Well, what do I mean by that? I stream on Twitch, YouTube, or other services while doing, learning, teaching, or talking about development, software development, different things. It could be coding, it could be whatever. There are a lot of people who try to do pen testing, learn security stuff, a lot of people who learn game dev, like me, a lot of people who do web dev stuff, a lot of people contributing to open source, and they're all learning in public, they're all sharing knowledge, which is huge to me, and they're all helping each other out. But why do people stream development, and why we're keeping it PG-13, so PG-13 allows for one instance of tasteful nudity and one F-bomb. I'm going to take 2 F-bombs and forgo the nudity, if that's okay. Why the fuck do people watch? Well, I did research, and by research I mean I came up with a list of why I do it, and I asked other people. The main reasons, hold still. There we go. Real-time problem solving, community building, which is huge. Sharing knowledge, like I said, is a big thing for me. Accountability, because when you are in front of people, you're more likely to actually want to finish something. Productivity, as strange as it sounds, actually does make me more productive. Networking, I've met a lot of great people. There's a lot of instant feedback and problem solving, and good old-fashioned narcissism. I asked my audience and other people in streams I hang out in why they watch, and here's some of the reasons that they gave me. Body doubling. Anybody familiar or not familiar with that? I know that was like, there's no wrong answer there since I gave the only 2 options, so everybody should be saying yes. That's, just having somebody to ignore is the way that I put it. Having somebody, whether it be across a desk from you or even just on a screen next to you, looking like they're working, seeing somebody else working really helps out. A lot of people do it just to support people that they know or like. And I've made some friends. One is a really, really brilliant scientist, does genetics, microscopic genetics and biology, and I don't know a damn thing about what he's talking about most of the time when he's showing cordyceps fungus taking over an ant's brain, but I like him as a person, so I hang out and support him. A lot of people do it to just help people out, and that's why they watch or stream. I have a lot of people who show up and just like, all right, we're going to do this together. I see that you're having problems. We're going to get through it. Getting help. See, I've had a lot of people who come in, and it's really odd. If I'm doing game dev on stream and somebody knows me from Drupal, they will come in and just ask a random Drupal question, and I'll kind of drop everything. Okay, let's figure this out. But everybody gets something out of it. All right, we're speedrunning this. So let's talk about me talking about what I'm doing to nobody but me. So, surprise, talking through what I was doing made me slow down and better understand the problem. I really have a high jump here, don't I?
You can do it.
Fix it in post.
And why? Well, talking it out instead of just letting my brain run a million miles a minute actually makes me clarify the problem. to myself, if nobody else. It really helps me organize my thoughts, forces me to slow down and analyze, and because of all that, and I'll usually write out something or take notes or just talk it out several times, it really helped with the problem solving. So when I'm streaming, or sometimes when not, or if I'm just looking at a rubber duck that I keep on my desk because every developer should have a rubber duck or something to talk to, I try to talk out the problem in a way that non-tech people will understand. Because if I can explain it to somebody else who might not know what I'm trying to get at, then I have a better understanding of it. Sometimes this involves drawing something out on either Excalidraw or Obsidian or something like that, or sometimes just on the screen. And sometimes it's just talking through my thought process. Because talking through, I may be like, oh, wait, I'm an idiot. This isn't what I should be doing here. And by organizing thoughts, I diagram stuff. Like I said, drawing out things, diagramming, mind mapping, or breaking down tasks into smaller chunks. I'm able to organize my thoughts a lot more clearly. I mentioned this one was pretty big. Do any of you think faster than you can type or forget what you were going to do before you have a chance to do it? Ever?
Yes.
That happens to me like once a second. By talking it through and actually taking the time to verbalize it, I have a much better chance to actually figure out what the hell I'm doing because I'm forcing myself to think about it. And by these things combined, I'm improving the problem solving. All right, let's not talk about me for a second, but don't worry, we'll get back to me soon enough. Another huge part about streaming is building a community. Not just developers, but people who want to learn about development, even people who just want to support you because for some reason they like you. I started off with, when I started streaming, I started with 0 community, and I have more than doubled that. Don't think about that too long. It's been about 2 years since I started, and on average, it's not a huge number, but I usually have 20 to 30 people hanging out who all are supporting me, helping me learn things, trying to learn from me, causing scope creep by saying, hey, it'd be cool in this game, or, it'd be cool to do. And I'd say, you not telling me new ideas because I'm going to try to do all of them. So in October of last year, man, it's been about a year, and in April of this year, I lost my job twice in a row. In October, I was laid off. April, I was fired. I didn't have anything lined up. I had no severance. I had nothing but a big old ball of depression. And I could have gone down a very dark path. Hence all the empty liquor bottles laying around there. So I decided to choose a path. I could have let it push me into deep, dark depression, deeper, darker than already, or I could use my newly found free time to learn new things, especially now that I had started cultivating a community in place to help support me. So, I was close to this one. I was like standing right here, just like, warning signs, I don't care. Let's do it. But instead, I started streaming daily. 8 hours a day, treating it like a job. I'd send out 100 resumes or so a week, hear back from, somehow I heard rejections to places I didn't even send out resumes to. But one, it helped me barely keep afloat financially. I don't make much money when streaming. Don't look at the hourly. But helped keep me afloat, and it kept me focused on something that wasn't curling up in the fetal position and wondering why. So, out of the serious stuff, there's a button. There it is. Another benefit to talking to myself is learning new things. So, a lot of the time, I'll just say, hey, I'm interested in this thing, I'd like to learn it, and then just go play Overwatch or Rocket League or Noida or whatever. But when I stream, there's accountability. I have a reason to learn new things because I'm getting on, I'm telling people, hey, we're going to do this today. Yes, there will be sidetracks, but I want to learn how to do, I want to learn about recipes in Drupal. I want to learn about SQL directory components. We're going to try different things. Today I want to see if I can recreate a game that I played in my childhood. I want to learn something new. And I have the accountability because I actually press start, and there are sometimes people there going, yeah, cool, let's do this. So what have I used and learned on stream? Different things that I really had no reason other than sheer boredom. Godot, which is the game engine this was made in. I did some Node and TypeScript stuff for a chatbot that I built, because that's a rite of passage as a developer. You have to build your own chatbot. TypeScript for that as well. Learned some Unity because I wanted to feel like it, or find out what it feels like to hate myself. Did some C# for some scripting for stream effects and building out a couple early game things. And Python because I don't know why, I just did stuff in Python. I learned the ins and outs of OBS, and if you don't know what that, does anybody not know what OBS is? Okay, OBS is open broadcast software. It's open source, basically the standard for anybody who streams or records things online. I did a lot of React stuff. Ooh, gummy berry juice there. Did a lot of React stuff to add effects to my stream. I learned a lot of Blender, and I suggest not learning Blender because it's a pain. And I learned Sprite for pixel art. In other words, I've had reasons to learn things I've been interested in, but never actually a reason to use. And I had an abundance of free time that, again, I could have gone extremely depressed or extremely productive, and I chose the middle ground. All right, that was a short level, nice and easy. So let's talk about how my accountability and productivity has improved because I talk to myself. Oh, wow. All right. It's a psychological thing. When I tell other people that I'm going to do something, I'm more likely to do it. I don't know what the effect is called, but it's just an accountability effect. If I tell a room full of people, hey, next week I'm going to have this thing finished, it might not happen, but I'll be more inclined psychologically to want to do it because now everybody knows that I'm supposed to be doing it. There have been studies, but I can't cite them. You just got to trust me. Please. And somehow I find myself a lot more productive when I'm streaming or talking to myself, even just recording stuff. And I think this goes back to taking the time to slow down and actually talk through it instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. I write fewer lines of code when I'm streaming. No two ways about it. I write fewer lines of code. I make fewer assets. But what I do finish or work on is better quality and less buggy than if I didn't slow it down. So fewer lines, but more productive quality lines. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Less stuff I have to go back and fix. And something that I found interesting when I was looking at quotes and things is the audience effect. Audience effects can happen when you know or think that somebody is watching you, like the Rockwell song. You're more careful with what you say. You're more careful with how you write code. Might be more careful with how many energy drinks you chug. I'm not. But I find myself, thinking about people are watching. If I write something horribly, then it's going to look bad. So I slow down and think about it, or I just verbalize it and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this way. What do you think? Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Tell me if I'm wrong in a constructive but firm manner." Ah, dang it. And I've said this before, coming back to it, talking to myself has given me lots of reasons to try and learn new things. And that's a big thing. One of my biggest fears as a developer is becoming stagnant and not growing and not learning new things. So it's given me reason. And usually if people are watching, they'll be helpful, they'll call out mistakes, they'll offer help when they can. But again, people are likely to cause scope creep. And in my stream, occasionally I have a scope creep award, where if somebody's like, it's going to be a good idea, what you should really put in here, I'll be, no, it's a good idea, but it's not going to happen because I'm already have no idea what I'm doing. And then if they just keep going with it and more stuff, like, okay, well, I'm changing your name to scope creep, and everybody's going to call you that now. And continuous learning is a big thing. It's a loop. I am of the opinion that no matter where you are, there's always somebody who knows something that you don't, and somebody that you can learn something from. And I've met so many people just through this, through networking. One of the developers of Satisfactory, which is a huge game that just came out. Well, it's been out for a while, but just got fully released. I know them. I know the lead designer on a bunch of really popular Disney mobile games, like Where's My Water? I've got a lot of friends who are doing a lot of indie games, a lot of friends who are doing like amazing stuff in the security world, and just DevRel for a lot of different, like Sentry, Microsoft, all kinds of people that I wouldn't have had the chance to meet otherwise. I was even fortunate enough to be invited to do a stream takeover for the Godot engine, which Godot is an open source gaming engine to build games with. It's what I built this presentation in. And the Godot Foundation invited me to take over their stream for a day. And that was a lot of fun. I don't know why they chose me, but it must have been a slow news day. So if you're wondering how the sausage, I'm going to pause here. Are there any questions? Because I'm talking really fast. Please? All right. If you're interested, if it's something that you want to try, if you kind of wonder how the sausage is made, see, I put little sausages. No, corn dogs, but. Okay, according to a small-time streamer, me, how to stream 101. It's really, really simple to get started. OBS, Open Broadcast Software, is free. It's very powerful. Free and open source. You need an account where you want to stream. Set up a couple of scenes in OBS. People have one scene, which is just a capture of your window or your screen camera if you want it. Don't have to. You press start and you start talking. A lot of people ask, don't I need an expensive microphone, camera, light, whatever? No. The best one you need is the one that you have. Don't spend $5,000 on a camera when you don't even know if you're going to enjoy using it. I see a lot of people who have, like, I forget what kind it is. It's a XLR Shure, like, really expensive microphone. They've never even downloaded OBS. They're like, I'm going to be a professional. It's going to sound great. And they got this $500-600 microphone, and they never go. They get burnt out after a week when they don't immediately become huge and famous. Don't spend money unless you know you enjoy what you're doing. Again, I'm going to say it again. Best equipment to start with is what you already have. Seriously. Don't buy new stuff. If you enjoy it, put some money into it, but just see if you enjoy it first. Seriously, do not buy new stuff. I've seen so many people waste so much money. Okay, this might be considered a bonus level, but it might not. Where did I put the button? There we go. Nope. Not a bonus level, more of a let's wrap it up. This went really quick. So plenty of time for questions. Any questions? Yes. Who?
No, you go first. No.
Same time. Go.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have a couple questions. The first one is, did you start with like zero audience, just kind of like speaking into the void?
Yep.
Okay. And like, how did you, I really like this idea, but I feel like I would get stage fright. How do you work through like when people do start watching you?
I keep the view count hidden for better or worse.
Okay.
So I talk the same if there are 10 people or if there are 100, which there's never 100. But and sometimes, especially in the software dev category, everybody wants to work together, and like, you know, rising tide raises all ships. Unlike some other categories where it's like, no, screw this person. I don't want. You shouldn't watch them. You need to watch me because I'm better. No, and there'll be times when I'm streaming and I have tabs open for people who are streaming at the same time as me, just so I can support them. So it won't be uncommon in this category that I'm in for chat to not. If you look, there'll be 20 people watching, but nobody's chatting because they're watching all of their friends at the same time. But I never look at the view count unless something weird is happening, and I talk the same if I'm talking to one person or 20, 30, 200. Hopefully I'll get to 200 someday, but
Thank you.
Isn't this exhausting? Like, especially when you're doing it for 8 hours, or treating it like a full-time job. Do you find that it's more tiring to like just to be in that kind of vulnerable space all day?
So when I was unemployed, it wasn't that tiring because I looked at it as a full-time job.
Yeah.
Now that I'm working again, I'm only doing, on the days I stream, it's usually 2 to 3 hours. And if I start feeling burnt out and just feeling tired, then I'm like, okay, time to wrap up. I don't force myself to like, okay, I'm starting at 5 p.m., I'm going till 2 a.m., and we're going to go with it. If I get tired, it's, all right, this is what we've done today. Thanks for all your help. Go check out this person.
Did you have another question?
No, you go.
Okay.
Too polite.
Yeah.
I'm the one from Canada here, okay? So you're not going to win this.
Okay, I do have another question.
Yeah.
It's about like the community of folks that watch your streams. I'm curious what the community is like, and if you've ever run into instances where there are people who aren't supportive, or like, I don't know, do you ever experience like negative feedback, and how do you deal with that?
So
I'm
I have-
sensitive, so.
I have some rules. When you, specific to Twitch, I haven't touched Kick, or I do YouTube just for exposure, but I don't really pay attention on there.
Yeah.
But on Twitch, you can put up rules for chat, and before anybody chats, then they have to accept those.
Right.
Mine start off with don't be a jerk. No hate speech of any kind will be tolerated. The final rule is never saying an unkind word about Jeff Goldblum. And if I violate a rule, timeout, do it again, banned. I don't care. I don't need that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's my channel. It's your channel. You dictate what happens. I had somebody. It did get overwhelming at one point where there was somebody just like spouting out some really weird, I'm going to cast a spell on you using AI because I know your algorithm. Like, I can't even pay attention to you right now. And other people that I knew, like good friends, were there. I'm just, you know what? Gave them both mod privileges and like, oh boy, now I have the hat. And that person got banned immediately. Like, okay, that was fun. Hey.
What's a peak Goldblum though? Like, what era is peak Goldblum?
Well, Chaos was really good. If you watch that, even though it got canceled before the second season.
Yeah. Okay.
Pete Goldblum is I can't think of the name of the movie, but the movie he did where he was a psychic with Cyndi Lauper.
I'll have to look it up.
Where he grabs a knife. He's like, oh, no, there's death here.
Sorry, I skipped the line.
There wasn't a line. This is popcorn here.
How long did it take you to build this presentation game thing?
I'm still not done.
I mean, what we saw at least.
No, in general, it wasn't too bad because simple platformers are not difficult. It's just adding all the little juice things to it.
Yeah.
Like, I did have some shaders. Like the stars, that's a relatively new addition. It's a shader. Shaders are programs that run on every single pixel on a screen and do things. So that's why the stars stay in the same position like a nice guy. So that took a little bit of time, but the platformer itself, not too much. Just Godot is very intuitive that way. But adding in the extra stuff, like figuring out how to plan the levels, how to plan the screens, what tiles to use, whether or not to make my own, or which I didn't, or use pre-made assets, animating little me there.
Yeah. Well, you did a wonderful job. I think it helped us feel immersed in a live action stream.
My initial goal when I first pitched this was I want people to not, even if nobody listens to what I say, they want to say, holy shit, that was a cool way to say it.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a framework now built out. Here, I'll show you my other how the sausage is made here, because part of this is I've got speaker notes and a mini screen, so I don't have to look up.
Yeah.
That was the big question, like how I could accomplish that, because I don't know about any of you, but I need speaker notes or I do not succeed.
And a clean desktop.
Yeah, I think there's another one. It's gotta be
There-
your
there is.
desktop.
All right, any more questions?
I got like 3 more, but like
Okay.
I could wait until after the session. I could message you on Slack. Okay, so I have a people question and then a session content question. People question is, as human beings, I feel like we are all prone to criticizing ourselves really hard, and when you are witnessed in those moments that you are criticizing yourself really hard, it can feel worse for some of us. So on the days when you are sort of like just not feeling like you're on your A game, and you know the social interaction feels harder and more draining, and you have more of those moments where your anxiety brain just creeps up, like how do you push through that, or how do you deal with that and balance, you know, continuing to do something if it feels vulnerable?
The short answer is I don't. If I'm feeling that bad, there have been times when I've pulled up the green screen behind me. I have a green screen because my office is a mess, and it's just a lot easier to cover it up with not reality. And so, but I've had days, weeks before where I'd sit down. I have a stream deck where when I'm ready to start streaming, I just press a start button there and it goes, and I get my finger to about here, and it's just not today. It's not going to happen today. And so if I don't feel like doing it, I just don't do it. It's not like I have a contract with anything to be on a certain number of days. However, if anybody's willing to sponsor me to go full time as a streamer for what I'm making, yeah, I'll do that. But yeah, there have also been days where I get frustrated because I can't figure out how to do something, and there's a mix of members of the community. Some people are like, well, I want you to be entertained, and I want you, dance monkey dance. And the opposite end of that is, no, I like watching you because of how authentic you are, and you don't try to sugarcoat if you're having a bad day, And the other side of that other side is some people that, no, you're too much like me, and I can't take your stress. I'm like, I understand, but I'm not going to I'm not going to be fake for one person. And there have been days where I'll go for an hour and just be like, no, I can't do it. I'm off in there. But some people, it's really fun because one phrase that comes up a lot when I do any self-deprecating humor is stop being mean to my friend.
Aww.
Coming from some people in chat. I'm like, well, thank you, I appreciate that. And it doesn't stop me, but I still appreciate it. Okay, any other questions before Faye goes again?
Can you play this game?
No, I don't have it. The only game that I've actually published is a game jam game that even I can't play. I made it too difficult. I am, however, let me see. We'll show you the game that I am working on. really hard to see in this, but it's called City's Revenge. It is a dark take on Smokey the Bear. There's a really good picture. Well, none of them are good on the screen. It's not bright enough, but yeah, you're playing as a camper, and so it's not out yet. It's just what I'm working on. So hopefully, eventually, I'll finish it someday.
Is this what you're streaming? When you are streaming lately? Is the game, or do you work? What else do you work on?
Lately, it hasn't been City. It's been I ran into a situation where I realized that I kind of jumped in, learning to run before I could walk by doing a 3D first-person puzzle game with extended narrative and a lot of character modeling and stuff. So I kind of stepped back to start doing more basic stuff. There's something, if anybody's interested in game dev, let me go back here. Not break my neck. Where the hell? Get over here. There's the 20 games challenge. It starts at any skill level, but it's really cool because it's just a way to gain confidence. So I started doing the games, and and it gives you like game 1. Start with Pong or Flappy Bird. Two of the most basic games to work on. And then so I, because I wanted to learn as much as I could, I did both of them. Then step 2 or game 2, Breakout, which is taking the mechanics of Pong, changing them around, or Jetpack Joyride, which is similar to Flappy Bird but with like projectiles. And then it just builds on what you've learned in the previous one. So I'm trying to go through some of this stuff, seeing how far I can get before I feel comfortable enough to go back into my extremely difficult game to make that probably shouldn't have been the first game to make.
Could you start this with 0 knowledge about how to code?
Yeah.
Okay.
With this,
It walks you through everything that you need?
the game challenge, or
Yeah, like if I had 0 experience coding or programming at all, could I come in here and start to learn with that first game?
yeah, I mean, you'd have to look up a bunch of stuff. It depends. I don't know if I'd recommend Godot for that as a first, just to learn, unless you have some coding background. But Unreal does a lot of, what's it called, visual scripting, where it's connecting nodes together instead of actually writing code. Or with Godot, you can do, and I'm sure others like Scratch.io, which I think is not related to itch.io. They might be, but I don't know. Code blocking, or block coding, where you have if loops and you put whatever variables inside of those, things like that. So there's a lot of options for that. And with Godot, with it being open source, the reason that I chose Godot is because it is fully open source, and it reminds me a lot of Drupal. The community is a lot like the Drupal community. The project is a lot like Drupal project. There's an asset library, much like the Drupal modules, where there's an asset for that, for just about anything. If you want, all these are just more recent things, but just when I'm making a first-person shooter game or anything that I want to be quick about, I can do just do FPS, basic FPS player, and there I've got all my control scheme, head bob, everything just by importing this, and that saves a ton of time. And it's just like paragraphs in Drupal or whatever. They're there. You don't need to rewrite everything. On the other hand, I mean, it's just like it is like all the contrib modules on Drupal. Not all of them are going to be 5 stars. quite a few of them are bad judgment. One that I really like, you can see this ridiculous coding doc here. That's made by one of my friends, John Watson. It's hard to see. Where are my scripts? Makes it fun.
Definitely makes it fun for streaming, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it gets a little. I have to turn off the shake because I can't watch it myself with the shake on. But having that's enough.
That's hilarious. So can you think of a reason that would be Drupal related to dig into some of these tools more?
So something I've been thinking about doing is does anyone remember Drupal Gap or Phone Gap?
Oh, yeah.
So Tyler Frankenstein made Drupal Gap, which was to make a mobile application using Drupal as a backend. I don't remember what the front end was, but it's not used anymore because there are so many other options. However, with an engine, specifically Godot, because the executable here, this entire game engine is under 200 megabytes. The game engine, this IDE is the game engine, which is built in the game engine. Godot is made with Godot. Don't think about that too hard. So there are different modes here. Forward plus is like the best, not necessarily the best, but this is to run on the highest end GPU, CPU, RAM, things like that. Then this mode, mobile, exactly what it says on the tin. It's more spec'd and towards a mobile game experience. However, you don't necessarily have to make a mobile game. You can make apps with a game engine. I was thinking having like a Drupal backend, almost a headless decoupled, API where this connects into a Drupal backend somewhere. All the data is stored there, and using a game engine, which makes it extremely easy to push up to Android and Apple just by packaging these up. And there you've got a mobile app for whatever purpose. Anything else?
I have another question.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, I don't have like many years of coding experience. I only started learning to code, wrote my first Hello World in 2021. So I think a barrier for entry for me to do something like this is fear that my skills are already starting at a place that's not very high. So I'm just wondering if you have any advice. Like, is it just to push through and try anyway and like be vulnerable and put yourself out there, or
People want to help.
Yeah.
In general, I've got a friend who, when she started streaming, she didn't. We have a very similar journey. I used to be a paramedic. She used to be an ER nurse. So that's kind of how we bonded. Of like, yeah, people suck. Let's just write code. We both had that mentality, and she didn't know anything. But when she first started, she's like, okay, I'm going to learn Python. I'm going to learn Go. I'm going to learn how to hack. Ethical hacking, pen testing, security stuff. And she just got her first internship, going from 0 to now, and she's doing amazing things in the InfoSec community.
Yeah.
Just seeing her growth. So, and she's not exactly an outlier. I see a lot of people who are like, come help me learn, teach me. Backseating allowed is kind of an open invitation for people to say, okay, why don't you try this, or I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I have that as one of my tags, but occasionally I'll be like, please, no backseating. I want to try to solve this on my own. People will still be like, you got to do this, and I'll just look around. I'm not reading you right now. I want to solve this. I'm closing it down. Sorry, but I'm going to ignore you until I get to a place where I can't move anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions before I throw him off a cliff? So, credits here. The game engine I used, obviously, is Godot. I might have mentioned that. Kenny made the tiles. Kenny is Asset Jesus. If you want to make a game and have no idea where to start, aside from the engine, Kenny made all these assets. They're all free, they're all CC0, which means you can use them for whatever the hell you want. And you don't have to attribute, you can resell them. There's some jackass who went on the Unity asset store, took this pixel pack, put a black background on it, and tried to sell it for $9 a pop. Legally, they had every right to do that, but Kenny got on Twitter and said, you know what, why don't you save yourself $9, come to my website and get it for free. Kenny wasn't rude, well, I guess kind of rude, like in an underhand, passive-aggressive way, but didn't say you can't do that because obviously the license says you can. But 13 pages of everything that you can need to get a game. What I usually do is I will find something that I like and use it as a reference image and then try to make my own version. There's a whole book, Feel Like an Artist, and everything's a remix. Two different things, but they're great and very inspiring.
Those are the characters from Unrailed, the blocky characters. It's totally just like, yeah, Unrailed, very good game.
Yep. You'll see these in a lot of indie games. If for nothing other than placeholders to get started until somebody comes up with new stuff. I personally spent money on these to support the developer on their Patreon, and got the all-in-one pack. I think I don't know where that is. Oh yeah, the donations here. All in one, $20 for all of those to be able to download in one zip. And it supports an awesome developer. So yeah, Kenny made all of the tiles that I'm using. Except for the sprite, I made that, and I designed the levels. Also, I didn't have a chance to change this, but Hero Devs sponsored me to be here. And so thanks, and the obligatory, because this is not CC0. This is where the slides were designed. Oh, damn it, I have a floor. There, no, just imagine he's gone. All right.
Nice job.